Joe, I'm sorry, I'm so confabulated here. Mark from Howell on road funding. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Gary. Ed, the drift, the news you need to know to start out with.
Hey, he's going for my job. I'm done. I can't
Well
take
done.
it. Yeah.
I wanted to say kudos to John here. This has been one of my pet peeves. You know, the reason that we offer these incentives to lure companies to come here and reside here with their businesses, that extends to their staff and their employees. And we have nothing to offer them, gentlemen. We've got the worst roads. We just went from a D plus to a D minus, rated the worst in the country. We've got the highest auto insurance in the country. We don't have a free market energy. So if these companies need to power up, they're going to be paying through the nose. Okay.
Yep.
I've been all over this the past couple of weeks in Lansing, not only with my representative, but I'm hitting both sides of the aisle on this, going all the way up to the governor's desk. And I've been telling my representatives and my senators to push their weight around. Unfortunately, my senator now is a Democrat, so but I'm still, or not my senator, but my congressman in Washington went to as a Democrat now.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm still pushing it on all levels. But the thing is here, let's look at this. I talked to my representative's office this week. I said, well, you know, you're in your last term. It's high time you push your weight around there. And I'm liking what I'm hearing. The Republicans are balking right now as far as bending over and agreeing to this. Every time they go into a budget, and I said, how many times that I've been getting on about this, go department by department. If we have to tighten our belts as citizens, then, my gosh, they need to go department by department to trim the fat and get rid of the wasteful spending. Now, another thing, I don't know if you're aware of this, but if you look up the DOT and see how many people are employed just working for the DOT, they are very top-heavy, from Kurt Steigel all the way down. They do not need that many people in that operation. That's another thing. Okay? And then also, I don't know if you're aware of this, but our state tax that's taken out of our gas purchases now is not going to roads, gentlemen, at all.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And I agree with your last caller, Joe. They're putting in another rail track. You know how they convert the rail tracks to those big, long paths? Okay, bike paths, rail tracks, parks, all these park improvements. Well, and then, of course, the roundabouts, I've had them with those things. You know, there's a lot of way we could trim the fat here. Another thing is these universities that we're funding. Okay, I'm looking at all these universities. What are they building? They're building new gymnasiums and new swimming pools and all this other stuff.
They're building communists.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, well, great points, Mark. You hit it right on the head. The state needs to tighten its belt. That's it. You know, the rest of us tighten our belts. Even Ford and GM is cutting people right now. They know they're top heavy, so they're cutting people. Well, doggone it, the state government should do the same. Start cutting people. Don't replace them. Whatever you got to do, look for other ways besides going into our wallets once again.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely, gentlemen. And another thing I say, Ron has brought up on that show, and I agree with him 100%. When you look at our representatives that we elect and our senators, okay, and you look at their staffing, okay, you got people in there that are just doing dictation or making copies. They're making $50,000 a year. Give me a break, gentlemen. We need to trim the fat. Thanks, guys.
Yep,
Thanks.
You got it.
See
Great
ya.
call, Mark.
Good call.
Appreciate it. Take care. Let's take a call from Todd in Whitmore Lake. Todd, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for your time. I appreciate that. You know, these road problems we got, you know, obviously are from, you know, culture of corruption. If we go with that idea, Patrick Colbeck's trying to reverse that, and when he was running for governor. But the whole unfortunate thing is that Gretchen Whitmer says that she will listen to all ideas. And I don't know if I've talked to you about this or not, but the unfortunate thing is Gretchen Whitmer is not listening to other ideas other than the one fomenting in her head. Because there have been many people that called that told her to sit down with Patrick Colbeck, have coffee, put differences aside, call it your own agenda, and to get these road problems fixed. She won't do it.
Yeah.
She will not do it.
Yeah, that's well, what do you expect? It's Democrat, and anyone that voted for her should have known better. It's that simple.
Get what you pay for or vote
Exactly,
for.
and not only that, there are roads that were tested back in the 50s and were built that are still excellent, way better than what we've got now, and they can be expanded upon.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And as we've heard before, it's the substrate so much as the top coat that really makes the roads last. All right, great call, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
So, before we move on, let's just remind people one last time. Make your phone calls, folks. It works. You see our callers are calling.
Oh, Mark, yeah. Huh?
Yeah, call and do what our callers are doing, and call the governor, and your state rep, and your senator. At the very least, that's 3 phone calls. You probably won't even get somebody. So leave a message, because it at least tells them that the pressure's on, right? So do that.
Oh, by the way, if we have any listeners who are in the Chelsea, West, South Ann Arbor area, do Tyrone a favor and switch over to the FM so he feels like it's being used?
Oh, is
we're
it
on
running
FM.
now?
Yeah, went on last night.
Oh, all right.
So what is it? Is it 92.7?
That is correct.
92.7.
Yeah.
Wham
so
talks.
Make use of it.
Yeah. No, I gotta rethink that in my head now, how I'm going to do that. Or maybe Tyrone can come up with the new catch sign, whatever it is. Somebody needs to do that. Well, I'm glad we're out on FM now. Well, we're going to avoid talking too much about the shooter in New Zealand, just because we got other things to get into. But it's also so early yet. We haven't done anything investigative-wise. They haven't released a whole lot other than this.
It's a lot of contradictory stuff. Semi-auto, fully auto, modified semi-auto.
Yeah, and what I do want people to reserve judgment is this. This guy is putting out this crazy manifesto. He's flashing the white power sign at his incarceration and everything else. It just seems a tad too contrived for me, because there was Facebook's postings from this guy from last year, 12 months ago. He was in Pakistan taking a vacation, allegedly, and posted to Facebook that he loved the people. They were the nicest people, the greatest people in the world. How do you go from 12 months thinking that the Muslims in Pakistan are great people to all of a sudden saying, I'm going to kill 49 people?
This reminds me of the Las Vegas shooting, of which we still know nothing about.
Exactly. It's something is just too contrived here for this manifesto and the whole 9 yards, and it's obvious that this guy just wants to cause division amongst people of the world as opposed to anything else. So
New Zealand is right next to Australia. It's very similar culturally. Australia has pretty much banned guns. Of course, most people haven't turned theirs in, but they can't take them out to use them as easily, right?
Right.
New Zealand didn't do that. But they have a hugely liberal, I have people I communicate with in New Zealand, they have a hugely liberal government there, which would like to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And this is a good pretext.
Absolutely. This whole thing just smells to high heaven for me, so I'm going to reserve judgment. We'll save it for another show. Hopefully we'll get information over the next few weeks, and then we'll talk about it then. But what we do want to talk about is the latest Democratic entrant for 2020 presidential election. Your friend, Robert Beto O'Rourke. You love him, don't you?
Oh, man. Beto. Robert, call me Beto O'Rourke.
I call him...
Hey, guys, please call me Beto. Please.
I call him the beta male.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Because he is a beta male.
Yeah.
And there's something deeply disturbing about this guy, and I can't quite put my finger on it. The hand motions, the jerkiness,
I can put my hand on it.
The ADD, whatever it is, it's just something about it is just odd.
So President Trump said something about, that's a lot of hand gestures. Is he crazy or what? Well, let's see if he's crazy. Fox News broke this story about Beto O'Rourke writing a murder fantasy when he was in his teens.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay? Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Catcher in the Rye, and that was a fictional story of a guy who wrote had this thing going on in the head about children and everything, and everybody recognized that he was a wacko. But this is Beto O'Rourke when he was a teenager was writing something like this. He says, one day as I was driving home from work, I noticed 2 children crossing the street. They were happy to be free from their troubles. I knew, however, that this happiness and sense of freedom were much too overwhelming for them. This happiness was mine by right. I had earned it in my dreams. As I neared the young ones, I put all my weight on my right foot, keeping the accelerator pedal on the floor until I heard the crashing of the 2 children on the hood, and then the sharp cry of pain from one of the 2. I was so fascinated for a moment that when after I had stopped my vehicle, I just sat in a daze, sweet visions filling my head.
What
kind of you don't recover from that and become the president of the United States. And if Trump had done that,
oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
And that goes to like Bernie, too. Bernie's nasty paper that he wrote in college about women who fantasize about rape.
Rape fantasy. How does the media not get on these guys?
This is despicable. And folks, you just got to open your eyes. If you talk to your Democratic friends or your liberal friends, you got to ask them these questions. How can you vote for Bernie? He was a guy that wrote papers about misogyny in college. Here's a guy writing about fantasizing or writing a fictional story about hitting children. You don't even see that kind of nastiness in Hollywood half the time, right? It's just there's something deeply disturbing about the fact that he uses the Beto. He's not Hispanic by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, his dad went Republican.
Oh,
no, his dad went Republican.
Right now, he's a Republican.
His dad is a Republican.
It's like Kamala Harris's father's conservative as well.
Yep. Or Juan Williams' boys. I want to tell Phil Stargell that.
I just, yes, exactly. So I wanted to play, he did his first stop in Iowa, and I wanted to play these two tracks. So we'll start with that.
You going to mimic
first
the
track.
hand track? Because
I
we're
will.
radio. You've got to mimic the hand.
Yes,
hand gestures.
I'll be doing his hand motions. Wow, Derek, you got that first track ready? Now listen to Mr.
Robert.
Doom and gloom, whatever he gets into here. Go ahead and play it.
We face catastrophe and crisis on this planet, even if we were to stop emitting carbon today, right now, at this moment. We know that the storms that we saw in Texas, Harvey, which dumped the landfall record amount of rain on the United States of America as long as we've been keeping records, that claimed the lives of too many of our fellow Americans, flooded people literally out of their homes and businesses. Storms like Harvey are only going to become more frequent and more severe and more devastating, and ultimately they'll compromise the ability to live in a city like Houston, Texas.
All right. Hello. Number one, I'm not sure that is factual about the dumping. And number two, we've been keeping weather records in this country for 200 odd years. So don't talk to me about the world ending in 12 years because we've had a few more storms.
Later in that speech, he talked about the climate change that 100% of scientists are in agreement on.
Which is false.
And they're not.
They're not. That's exactly
97% of scientists think it's false.
Yes. We can go back to that story about where they came up with this 97% thing, and it's completely false.
Yeah.
And yet the Democrats, the liberals will jump on this all the time. The media, they're all in agreement. Not even close to being in agreement.
But it supports their power grab.
Yeah, exactly. There's a 5-minute video from YouTube that I put out on Twitter today that I saw somebody else put out, and I retweeted it. It is the best factual it's got the graphs, the whole 9 yards that I have seen in years.
And you're going to post a link to it on thedailydrift.com.
I will. And
I know that.
Maybe next week, or the week after because I won't be here next week.
You won't be here. Maybe I'll just do it. You won't be here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'll send it
Wait,
through
don't
you.
warn people. They won't tune in.
Of course they will.
Okay. Well, my wife will.
You call it the Ed Show. Oh, no. It's a liberal show.
Oh, gee, Wilbur.
But yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Derek, you got that second track? Let's play this. Let's continue on with Mr. Doom and Gloom.
That life is going to be a lot tougher for the generations that follow us no matter what we do. It is only a matter of degrees. And along this current trajectory, there will be people who can no longer live in the cities that they call home today. There is food grown in this country that will no longer prosper in these soils. There's going to be massive migration of tens or hundreds of millions of people from countries that are literally uninhabitable or underwater, that are above the sea right now. This is our final chance. The scientists are absolutely unanimous on this, that we have no more than 12 years to take incredibly bold action on this crisis. My gratitude then for the young people who have stepped up to offer such a bold proposal to meet such a grave challenge. They say that we should do nothing less
This is important.
than marshal every single resource in this country to meet that challenge, to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, to get to net zero emissions.
Right.
Marshall, the
You
word
saw it,
martial
right?
law.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that struck me when I heard it. I perked right up and I went, Marshall. And you did the same thing. I watched your face.
Exactly.
You went right up. And if you got any brains at all, you'll understand what Occasional Cortex and Maxine Waters and the rest of them with this new Green Deal want to do. They want to control. It's basically martial law is what they want to do.
I have this clip to play from Ghostbusters. This is Bill Murray.
Yeah.
And biblical proportions, cats and dogs living together.
Yeah. In 12. Hello, Noah. I'm sorry. I don't believe that you have any prophetic visions at all,
No.
other than what George Soros and company has put into your head.
It's a hack job. It's to get you to give up your freedom for security, which is exactly what Ben Franklin warned against. If you give up your freedom for this false security of 12 years from now we might live, then you deserve neither.
Yeah.